In the city of Chicago, we've lost over 300,000 black folks over the last 20 to 30 years. We saw in our community when landlords wanted to empty buildings out, they would double, triple the rent so people couldn't afford it to get them out the building. We've seen price gouging. These 25 acres of land that's behind me was supposed to be for housing. It was a bait and switch. They told us, okay, yeah, these public housing is horrible. We want to make sure you all have some great housing. We're going to tear these down, rebuild them. 10-year program. It's year 23 and they still haven't bought back the fraction of the housing that we were promised. Now they're trying to use the public housing land for everything but housing. My name is Roderick Wilson. My role is Executive Director of Lugenia Burns Hope Center. We help advance fair and affordable housing by working on policy that focuses on low-income and working families. Sometimes you need to go through litigation to achieve the goals of the campaign. There hasn't been a lot of lawyers willing to take that step with you. To find an organization that's willing to get in the trenches with you, that builds trust, and from trust you can have real partnership.
Chicago Lawyers Committee really stands out because of the trust that we've formed with our community partners. I'm Emily Coffey. I am the Director of Equitable Community Development and Housing here at Chicago Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights. We partner with grassroots community organizations and other advocates to advance litigation strategies, to advance policy change, to make sure that we've got a right to housing and really just changing what the history of this city has looked like.
We primarily try to promote and advance equity for Black and brown folks in the city of Chicago. My name is Chris Bridges and my role is a community engagement strategist. We try to serve as best we can by providing some legal analysis and legal support, research. We very much believe in letting our community partners, folks who are directly impacted, lead our work and how it's best to respond. That's a significant motivating factor for a lot of the advocates that come to CLC to do work.
For a lot of lawyers, they think they know, because they know the law, they know what's best and what the best way is forward. CLC has a completely different approach. They listen to us first. They understand the issues from our perspective. My name is Patrick Brosnan. I'm the Executive Director of the Brighton Park Neighborhood Council.
If there's any questions, any concerns, I'm here to support you and to help you.
Brighton Park Neighborhood Council is a community-based organization serving the southwest side of Chicago, predominantly Latino community, predominantly immigrant community. We've been trying to support them to ensure that the families that have built that community, that they're able to stay in the neighborhood. And that stability is key to public education. Parents and students have been fighting against some of the most reactionary campaigns against open public schools. The formation of Peer Illinois has been amazing, and we're doing this with a shoestring budget.
Peer Illinois, CLC, we're working together closely to try and figure out ways to increase equitable school funding.
Ahora nos roban dinero, haciendo recortes en muchas escuelas vulnerables.
We're a coalition of legal aid, community-based organizations, of parents and student organizing. Right now, we're seeing families being forced out of Southwest Chicago and Brighton Park. The school loses enrollment, the school loses funding. We need to interrupt that cycle, and one of the ways we can interrupt that is by helping to stabilize the housing sector.
We're here at the Apple Homes development, working with Chicago Lawyers Committee on the lawsuit so we can build the housing that was promised to us.
Over 20 years ago, the city came up with a plan for transformation to change what public housing looked like in this city.
The plan for transformation directly and indirectly pushed out over 300,000 black people out of the city of Chicago.
The Chicago Housing Authority now has a large number of vacant lots that it has not redeveloped, despite promises that public housing would be returning to these sites. About a year and a half ago, then Mayor Lori Lightfoot, the owners of the Chicago Fire, came together with the Chicago Housing Authority to propose leasing this land for up to 60 years to build a training facility. And this is land that has been committed for years and years for the redevelopment of public housing land. At the ABLA site, we have been working to get the CHA and the city and HUD to make a different decision. You know, there are other places that a soccer field could go, but there's no plan in place to make sure that public housing gets rebuilt. And that is just an outrage. When HUD decided to lease this large amount of land to the Chicago Fire, our clients had to file litigation. Unfortunately, this is not necessarily a new thing for HUD. HUD is generally just approving these disposition applications with minimal oversight. Our lawsuit seeks to challenge that practice and to challenge that rubber stamping.
In order for our society to be truly just, it's going to necessitate a much greater investment in our communities. It is going to take all of the supporters of CLC and all of its partners to come together with a common vision for equity and for justice and for rights.
We need folks engaged in the work at any level. We need folks to partner with us on pro bono cases. We also really depend on the resources to be able to do this work.
That means funding, that means volunteerism.
So we can increase our capacity, increase our engagement.
Hope, if you want to describe it as that, is believing that even though our opponents are Goliaths, we have to fight back, we have to keep pushing forward.
We recognize the threats that are being posed, and we're at the front lines, and we got to keep fighting.